Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty big news when it comes to Xbox, where now we actually have a pretty big Xbox studio now leaving Xbox after the Activision acquisition. We also have some pretty big news too, as well as some brand new games coming out from pretty beloved IPs you guys would probably know about, and as well, we also have some even more kind of comments and opinions when it comes to the Xbox and PlayStation streamability debate. If you guys missed that, we actually talked about that in a video earlier on today, which is kind of, I think, be the big drama throughout this entire weekend, where it seems like the Xbox is not as strong and not as efficient as the PlayStation 5 streaming, which is always intriguing because a lot of folks out there, well, kind of always assume there's the opposite, and Xbox usually sold itself pretty well on that. So we're going to talk about all this throughout the video, and as well, if you guys are bored, probably as the video's even live up as of right this second, we are going to probably be live checking out the Final Fantasy remake right now up on Twitch. It'll be linked down below if you guys want to say hi and lurk it up in the background, or follow up the Twitter if you guys would like. Subscribe if you guys are new, and check out that Weeble too as well. And I appreciate y'all so much for watching. Let's go and dive on into seeing some of this crazy news going on right now. So if you guys have missed it, which I'm sure you guys haven't, Xbox obviously has now bought out Activision as well. They have a bunch of different small subsidiaries and other game IPs, whether they're dormant or just not as active in the gaming sphere. But one big thing to note is that Toys for Bob, which you guys may know and recognize, Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, is now becoming an indie studio, leaving Xbox and Activision. But one intriguing thing to note is their official statements in all this is that it's already exploring a possible partnership with Microsoft. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff we could go and break down on this. First and foremost, if you guys missed it, as I said, Activision Blizzard owns a lot of different IPs, such as World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, or even things such as, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. I believe also have other things such as, Guitar Hero, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and, other various IPs that they technically own underneath the companies themselves. And some of these might be more dormant, some of them might just be kind of existing around, but in theory, by owning the company, they own then all the legal rights. And it's kind of a big thing for Toys for Bob, which is a pretty well-known, publisher. Where just weeks after the news that Crash Bandicoot and Spyro developer, Toys for Bob, wouldn't actually be shutting up shop, so they're not actually shutting down, because some people are assuming maybe we haven't made a good Crash Bandicoot or Spyro for a while, maybe they're just going to be, mitigated and kind of confined into the actual account itself, like that. And then the studio heads Paul Yan and Avery Lodato have now dropped some surprising news, revealing that the team is actually now going independent. We've also been seeing a slightly upper uptake for this, and we might talk about this a little bit more in depth in a different video, but I believe a company such as Gearbox, which was recently bought out, is once again also going independent. So think Borderlands. Because some of these studios either, one, can buy themselves out, or number two, or financially it makes more sense for them to get moved out, or three, sometimes it's just an adequate, hey, we kind of want to do our own thing. Let us go doing our own thing. There's a lot of various nuances, because sometimes it depends on how much ownership it's worth, how much the company's worth, if they have a really chill owner, if they just want to make sure they're maintained, if they want to have outside funding. There's a lot of what ifs in these situations. But apparently the what if over here is that the owner and maker of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro is now no longer affiliated with Microsoft and Xbox. So this opportunity will apparently allow Toys for Bob to return to its roots of being a small and nimble studio. The same message on the official website mentions how Microsoft and Activision have been extremely supportive of the decision, and it expects to continue to work closely in the future, which is even more funny and also stranger wording, where you have a company that you're technically owned by, so aka Crash Bandicoot and Spyro developers, Toys for Bob's, and then you go independent. But at the same time, you're basically hyping up the fact that you're going to keep on working very closely in the future with the one company you literally just left. Now, I think it's probably best in their own idea, or maybe make a pure game for PlayStation and Xbox, or even just try to work for an Xbox exclusive and work it out in Gamepass, and maybe that's a trade-off, where it's hey, we'll let you guys go be solo, but you guys have to make as both one Crash Bandicoot and one Spyro game and make it a Gamepass exclusive, or hey, we'll let you have a little bit more loosey-goosey stuff, but we want to have a contract where we basically have Gamepass games, and we'll still pay you, we'll still subsidize the studio, we like you, but we still want something out of this to make sure it's going good. And this also kind of ties into as well, because sometimes these games are rough when it comes to making games, because if you're an independent studio, you have a lot more freedom. They even mentioned how they want to be more nimble and have a chance to go and do more stuff. Which makes a lot of sense, because basically if you work in a big game company, so think Xbox, you have to go make the game, you have to go and pitch the game, you have to make sure you get the funding for the game, you have to make sure the higher-ups approve, you have to wait for your manager to approve, then after your manager, then your manager's manager has to approve, then your manager's has to approve, and then you have the Xbox studio heads maybe sometimes have to go and approve and get the funding for these games. And I'd imagine a game that has a lot of really good old-school merit, such as Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, these are not necessarily the biggest IPs. They're not like, the God of Wars at this point, or like, the Master Chief type characters, but they're still like well known and beloved. They have like legacy and, infamy behind them. So this is also one of those things where if they want to make a game, their standards are probably really high, which is good, but at the same time, they also probably have a lot more restrictions, and like they have to be able to go and have a lot more of approvals, and sometimes you want to be a lot more nimble. They say they want to return to the roots of being a small and nimble studio, and this basically make a lot of sense, because duh, like you want to be able to go do what you got to do and fix it really quickly. So supposedly already exploring the possible partnership with its new studio and Microsoft, which is funny, but it's still in the early days with the next new game. So don't expect any brand new announcements yet, just kind of cool stuff to go and see. Saying, we're thrilled to announce that Toys for Bob is spinning off as an independent game development studio. Over the years, we've inspired love, joy, and laughter for the inner child in all gamers. We pioneered new IP and hardware technologies in Skylanders. We've raised the bar for the best-in-class remasters in Spyro Reignited Trilogy. We've taken Crash Bandicoot to innovative, critically acclaimed new heights. With the same enthusiasm and passion, we believe that now is the time to take the studio and our future games to the next level. This opportunity allows us to return to our roots of being a small and nimble studio. To make this news even more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio from Microsoft, and while in the early days of developing our next new game, and a ways away from making any announcements, our team is excited to develop new stories, new characters, and new gameplay experiences. It's also kind of fun to see that they still do have nice vibes with Xbox, although it's really weird to see that Xbox is losing them, but they're still in partnership with them. It's very weird to go and see, but at the same time, it was kind of nice to go and see that they have a chance to, be on their own. As I mentioned, there's also been other cool stuff with like Gearbox, where they have now had a chance to go and kind of be separated out. And this kind of seems like almost the new norm, because they broke off from Embracer Group. So it kind of seems like some of these studios that may be better individually might be doing it. They kind of went Bungie too as well, though Bungie was like Xbox, and they went independent, and they went to PlayStation. So I'm not really sure what's up with them. But there is a lot of games where if they have a good IP, or have outside funding, or investments, and all that, as I mentioned, then it makes sense. Like they can just go independent, and they can then kind of get the fruits of the labor, instead of Microsoft or Xbox getting the fruits of their labor. And it kind of seems like it's a win-win, where it seems like they're still getting like benefits in money either way. Now, some other intriguing stuff over here too is that they have a brand new Terminator game. So Terminator Survivors has now been announced for the Xbox Series X. PC access arrives as 2024. So intriguing to go and see this one, where the Notcon Connect basically had a company formally unveil the Terminator Survivors, a new open-world survival game based on the famous film franchise. The team has locked in a PC early access launch date, with console versions arriving later on, including Xbox. That Steam Early Access release lands on October 24th, and from then, PC players will be able to take control of a group of survivors on Judgment Day in co-op or solo. So it's actually kind of cool to go and see. So basically just a brand new game coming out here for Terminators, and I feel like we've been seeing like even the resurgence of like the 90s games. We had that RoboCop game that did moderately well. We have a brand new Terminator game, which is always kind of floating around on different types of IPs and such, like co-meddling. I think even Gears of War had them with it together, so it seems kind of cool to go and see. Now, last but not least, because we had some big issues going on with this cloud gaming on Xbox Game Pass, which is in regards to, you have Xbox Game Pass, you can stream games, and it's kind of been the big debate this weekend. Or basically, do people even use it? Like, people are kind of curious before, because they're mentioning how Digital Foundry found and shared interesting videos, and the cloud gaming would kind of show that the PlayStation did a lot better, like their specs were a lot nicer. And they're saying our uses of Xbox cloud gaming here at the PX office was definitely mixed, and a lot of people didn't really like it. And I almost want to know your comments, if you guys made it throughout the video, is if you guys have ever even used the Xbox cloud gaming and hosting yet. I'm one of those people, I've never really done it. I usually will buy the game or maybe use it for Game Pass and download it. Like, I've definitely done that, but I've never actually streamed any game I've ever wanted. But I'm more of a PC gamer. Like, I'll sit on my PC desk and I want to play on my PC games and I want to just hang out and chill. So I like seeing this at the end of the day where there's options, but I'm not really a big travel gamer. And it kind of seems like some of the comments too is we're on the same boat. We're saying, hey, it was fun whenever I've used it. Didn't really like their PS5 though. I would use it, but my internet's not as good. Used to get a few easy achievements too as well, but it was pretty terrible. So it's like with my Wi-Fi, it's much better. Cloud gaming on the Steam Deck works quite well, and I do think a lot of folks will usually like it for the outside stuff, such as like a TV, such as on your phone, such as on your Steam Deck or Lenovo, whatever. And then most people are kind of really not on it too as well. I'm in the same boat where I usually will just download the game I want to play, has better quality, I feel like it runs better, but at the same time, this is probably going to be the future. So I can imagine 5 years, 10 years down the road where a lot more people might just be streaming games. But it kind of seems like a lot of people are not even good. They're saying the tech is not even close. Cloud gaming experience is even worse than Series S experience. That's saying something. Some people are saying it's 8 out of 10 for slower paced games. You have to forget you're not streaming, though. It annoys me that as a Game Pass subscriber, I can't play any downloaded games in my Series S and stream at the same game on xCloud on a different device at the same time, and people are just overall not too happy. It's awful. I used quite a few times, worked good. I played indie games, though. I'm on the fence at installing it, though. I've not used it recently. A lot of people are on the iffy side. So I want to hear your thoughts if you've ever used it yourself down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below. Go swing by and say hi for Final Fantasy if you guys want to be comfy and chill, and I appreciate y'all so much for watching in the first place.